Hi, thank you for joining me. I'm Valerie Brown with Realty Edge, and I'm coming to you today from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. And my channel is all about Las Vegas and all things real estate related in Las Vegas. If you'd like to subscribe, go ahead and click the subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you can be notified when new videos are coming online. My information may be especially useful if you live here in Las Vegas or if you're thinking about moving to Las Vegas. This video today is about buying a home with solar panels already on the property with a lease and all the things that you have to think about and dive into to understand all the terms and conditions that you as a buyer would be taking over. But before I get started, I want to make sure that I put out a special note that I'm not against solar panels. I actually think they can be very beneficial, especially in Las Vegas. In Las Vegas alone, we get about 300 days of sunshine each year. So it's a really great environment to harness the power of solar energy. And this video isn't to talk badly about solar. It's only to make sure that the buyer is getting a really informed process and they understand what their proper due diligence really looks like. You want to make sure that you understand all the terms, all the conditions, all the warranties, the payments, and what goes with what and who do you call when what happens. So today's video's point is just to talk about how to do a proper due diligence for buying a home with solar panels. Now in this video, I'm going to talk about 6 really critical components that you need to be thinking about as a buyer or even as a seller that you can provide to your buyer to make sure that everything's open and honest and they understand exactly what the solar panels do and how efficient they are, or all the details. We just want to make sure. These 6 pieces of information are going to be the sales and purchase contract from the owner of the property with the solar company. So the solar company writes up a purchase agreement and says, hey, I'm going to give you these solar panels for X amount of dollars. So the purchase contract is going to detail everything. It's going to detail how much they paid, how much they probably put down, and more than likely what the interest rate is and what the term. It may not include those items, but generally they do. It also covers any service work by their mistakes, any warranties that they offer. So the purchase contract will encumber quite a bit, but you'll also want to ask for other service agreements that may be out there. So maybe you bought it from the solar company who is just a third party and then they have service agreements with someone else. You need to know that. So you want to ask for any service agreements and warranties, including not only the solar company's warranty, but any manufacturer warranty that exists on the parts themselves. And speaking of the parts, you'll definitely want to ask for all the specs. So the specs of the panels and the equipment and everything that has been put, the whole solar panel system on your home, you're going to want to know the details about all of that, because if you do have to call someone, you want to be able to speak intelligently and explain what you have and what needs to happen. They'll take care of all the details like, oh, this is how you fix it, but you're going to want to at least know what equipment you have and make sure that you're up to date on that, especially because technology does age and different panels have different service providers, so that piece of information is very important. You'll also want to make sure that you get a copy of the utility bills from the power provider, which here in Las Vegas is NV Energy, formerly Nevada Power. And you'll want to get the last 12 months just to make sure that you can see an expansive term of time and how much the owner is actually drawing from the grid, so you can anticipate what you may also need for this home. But it can vary. So if they have 6 family members and you only have 3 family members, or if they have electric cars and you don't, that power consumption is going to ebb and flow. So you'll have to just do a best estimate of what you think that you will consume for power from the grid versus what their family did. And the only way to know is to ask questions. You can ask your agent and they'll ask the other agent, hey, what's your family size? What's this? So you can really dig into the details with the power bills. And that's especially important, especially if you do have electric vehicles and they didn't, so you know your consumption will be higher. And then last, which is also very important, you're going to want to ask for the lender. Who has the loan? What's the interest rate? Can I get a copy of the note? Can I find out all the lender details? And how would I go about assuming these panels with the lender? Typically, the lender does have a credit check that they pull, and it can affect your credit and you're in the middle of buying a home. So you're going to want to also check with your lender if you're financing this to make sure that it doesn't mess with your ratios on the back end. So you want to make sure you bring everyone into the fold about this and make sure that everything has been transparent with all parties, because you don't want to get down to closing and then your lender say, oh, I didn't know this had solar panels or what have you. And it's also your agent's responsibility to communicate that. But it's also important for you to make sure that you can move forward with this, make sure it's not going to have any impacts on your ability to be qualified for this loan to buy the house now. So getting the lender involved is always a good idea on both the financing side and the assumption side for taking over the panels, and understanding what the cost is and what the process is. They may just have a simple form, no credit check, and it's simple, or they may have a credit check, some forms, and more detail, like you may have to put up a deposit. It just depends on the lender. So as soon as you receive all of these documents, it's really important that you review them and you stay up late and you go over all the details and you make sure that you understand everything. And whatever you don't understand, write down your questions, talk to your agent. Even though us as agents, we're not really qualified to discuss solar power, what's what, we can at least guide you maybe to an expert in the field or refer you to someone who can explain it better. You'll also want to contact the solar company so that they can explain questions that you have, because they're the service provider. They have all the information you're looking for. You may have seller questions, so as your agent, you can go ahead and have them reach out to the seller's agent and make that communication start happening. But again, once you have all of those details and you have any questions, just write them all down. Make sure you understand the terms, because you want to know before you owe. You want to know before you assume any responsibility for these panels. You don't want to get into something and say, I had no idea what I was getting into. I wish I would have read the documents more clearly, and I don't even know who to call, and something's not working. So this is all a way to make sure that you perform your due diligence to the best of your ability, and that you make sure you ask all the right questions and have the opportunity to do so. And you have a relatively small window of time to get it all done, so it's really important that you jump on this right away. Overall, I hope you found this information useful and you can use these ideas and information to make sure that you feel comfortable moving forward through a home purchase with solar panels, and that you know what you need to be asking for. And if you have any ideas about another topic, feel free to reach out to me, or if you have any questions about what I just covered, just let me know. I'll be happy to discuss. My website is visitvegashomes.com. All my contact information is there. And if you didn't subscribe earlier, you can subscribe now. Just hit the subscribe button below and even the little bell so you can be informed when I upload another video. Thank you again. Bye.